Well, good morning. It's me, it's Michael. It's Saturday morning and you're listening to my Saturday soundtrack here on Sheffield Hospital Radio. And if today couldn't get any better with this weather, I've got a guest with me. Some of you might recognise that laughter. Now, how do I refer
Just
to
Kate,
you?
it's fine. I've been
sure?
called a lot worse, Michael, so don't worry about it. It's the Reverend Canon Kate Bottley. It's a full title, but only if I'm in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yeah, only if the bishop's telling me off. So otherwise it's just Kate.
Is that all right?
Yeah, Kate Bottley, of course it is. It's so lovely to be here. What an amazing setup. What a brilliant radio station. I mean, honestly, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited. It is hotter than the sun in here.
I know, like an apple pie, as my son would say, quoting Alan Partridge when we say hotter than the sun. It is hot. I've turned the fan off so we don't get the background, but
it's all
welcome.
Right. I'll be your fan for the day. Go on, Michael. Yeah, I love you, Michael. That's what we'll do.
See, I was really nervous about you coming, but
don't be nervous. It's only me.
I know.
We've known each other for years.
Exactly.
Why would you be nervous?
Well, you know,
it's a big deal.
It is.
Big deal.
Is. You know what I'm doing. Normally, someone at that side of the desk is kind of chatting and I'm putting them at ease, whereas you'll be like...
I've been eyeing up your buttons, Michael. I'll tell you that for nothing. I've been going, oh, look at your mics, look at your headphones, all that sort of stuff. What I'm frightened of about today, the only thing I'm nervous about is that, you know what I'm like? You've known me since I was what? Well, I was in the same class as your sister at school, and so we're the same age, which is 50. And so we've known each other since, I don't know, about 40 years, I'm guessing, or so. So the only thing I'm nervous about is that you and I will not stop talking.
I know, well... I was just thinking of all the planning I've done this week, and already I think I'm off script. So
that's going to happen a lot.
If people hear it ripping that, then we'll know what it is. Well, shall we get underway with a bit of a request? We were just talking before you came on about our volunteers are absolutely fantastic and go out around the wards, and we've got a couple of requests for today. So. The first one comes from a team, and it's a front door response team. So they work in A&E. Yeah. And when particularly frail elderly patients come into A&E, they hopefully turn them around and get them back out into the community before they get admitted.
What an amazing job they do.
So they do a fantastic team. They've asked to come on my show, so if you're listening, you most certainly can. But they've asked for, interestingly, Fragile by Kylie Minogue. So we'll play a bit of that.
How appropriate.
And we'll come back and have a chat in a bit. That was Fragile, Kylie Minogue for our front door response team. So yes, it's Saturday morning and I've got Kate with me. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks.
Thank you again.
I'm just thinking I need a front door response team. They just take the parcels in. You know, they do so much more important work here than that, though. But I think Graham's my front door response team. Really? I think that's what he does, answering the door to anybody who knocks. Get that, would you? I'm not getting it. You get it.
Yeah. To our response, they do out into the home as well.
Yeah,
so they've got targets.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. You've done loads of work for today, haven't you?
I have, but I don't.
Look at all your notes and everything. I'm ever so impressed that you've done all your homework, whereas I just fell out of bed, was a bit late. You've been so patient with me as well, because we were supposed to be doing the 16th of May, and then I miscalculated how long it takes to drive back from Cornwall because I'm an idiot. And then this morning, it was just one thing after another at the Bottley household, as it is in every busy household. We all know what that's like. So you've been very patient with me, Michael. Thank you very much.
No, I'm really impressed, as I am when all my listeners come on. It's just lovely to have you on and to hear about you, and we'll see how these 2 hours go.
Okay, let's see what happens then. I've got a feeling it's going to fly by. What about you?
It usually does. Yeah. We'll kind of look at it, and a bit like that song there, suddenly it's the end of the song, suddenly the news is coming on, and that's our 2 hours done. But for all our listeners, if you do want to WhatsApp us and pick a song or say hello to Kate, you can do on 07900 339 429 or email studio@sheffieldhospitalradio.co.uk. And we've already had one message in, Kate. So it's from Alison, who's a friend of my dad's.
Hi, Alison.
She's a volunteer, just like my dad is, down the front of the Hallamshire. She, after 11, she's off to a Zumba class.
Go on, Alison.
But she says she met you at the Hallamshire recently, and my dad must have introduced her.
That's exactly what happened.
Really.
I'd been seeing my lovely dad, who was up on the urology ward. He's let's just say he's a frequent flyer here at the Royal Hallamshire. And so I was, those blessed lifts, I'd just been stuck, I had those lifts go up and down. It's really scary. And I was walking through the reception area, and Alison was stood with your dad. And it was her that noticed me first. It was her that recognised me first and shouted, "Kate Bottley!" Joey, at the top of her voice. Alison, it's so lovely to hear from you. I hope you're doing really well. Thank you for all your voluntary work that you do alongside Keith and all the others here at Sheffield Hospitals. You're an absolute treasure.
And she says she might see you in Stirling. Did you know that? Or?
Yeah, she might do, because Radio 2, because obviously that's my other job tomorrow morning. 6. I mean, you can listen on catch up to Radio 2, so stick with hospital radio is what I'm going to say. I do Radio 2 on Sunday mornings 6 till 9, and she's a big Radio 2 fan as well as a big Sheffield Hospital radio fan, and we've got Radio 2 in the Park in Stirling coming up in September.
That must be
very
so
exciting. I can't tell you on air who's going to be there, but it's a good lineup. There we go. I've just mouthed it to him. I don't know whether he got that, but I'll tell him during Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, that's where I suddenly blow it and say it back to you.
Don't say shh.
Well, right, let's play this first song then. So, as you said, we have known each other
40 years.
I know, Myers Grove. Now, when I was doing my research,
here we go.
I did. How bad is it? I didn't realise you were head girl at Myers Grove.
Come on.
So
we obviously have not had a conversation. I drop it into every conversation I have. Yeah, but I do have to say, if I was the best girl that they'd got, that says a lot about the school, right?
Hey, my sister went to that school, in that year. Poor old Sally Hancock.
I know. She always says, when I always say, well, I was head girl, she goes, yes, and I was head girl in lower school. I said, well, yeah, but I don't think we're really counting that one, are we, Sal?
James Cordwell was head boy when I was there.
I remember James
I'm
Cordwell.
hoping he's listening in.
He's probably got incriminating evidence of you, Michael, I would imagine.
Probably has. But anyway, so I go back to, I'm going to play this next song because it was Nicola's 18th at Dunworth Village Hall.
I don't remember it, which tells you everything about it. It was a great party, I should imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I think my mum and dad had bought all the beers in that kind of, they supplied to us as 16, 17, 18-year-old. And it was Wayne's World was around at that time.
I remember.
So the trend was clearly to this song to kind of mosh into it. Now, I actually had curtains and an
I remember your
curtains.
curtains. I do remember your curtains.
My kids were looking at photos only this past week and saying curtains were never
It's weird
in.
to see you with a beard, to be honest with you, because in my head you're about 8.
In my head I still am as well. But yeah, so it's a bit of Bohemian Rhapsody, and Grandma Harper, my grandma, I remember commenting afterwards about who was that ginger-haired girl you were dancing to this to. So it's some Bohemian Rhapsody.
Hoping that I wasn't going to be a future daughter-in-law. I'm granddaughter-in-law, I imagine.
So here's a bit of Bohemian Rhapsody, and then let's come back and find out a bit more about you, Kate.
What's really fun is the instinct to backhand that for you. It sounds like, because I do radio, I was like, it was finished, and I have to go, that was Bohemian Rhapsody and Queen, but that's your job today, not mine, Michael.
That was brilliant. I was just impressed that you can still shake your head like
I know, my neck's really hurting. My neck is hurting so much. Let's not do that again. My vision's gone a bit fuzzy.
I've put the studio back into order and everything.
We must say hello to Katie Parkin and everyone that's listening this morning. Katie's driving back from Keswick, listening online, which is perfectly possible to do. So you don't have to be in the hospital to listen to us. You can listen to us online as well.
Absolutely. And we always say we are Sheffield Hospital Radio, but we're now an acute and community trust. So as I always tell our listeners, we see more patients in their home every day than we do in A&E.
Wow.
Because of the kind of our wonderful district nurses and people like the front door response team and their community team go out and about. But anyway, let's just talk about you for a moment.
Okay, let's do that. My favourite topic. Jesus and me, my two favourite topics.
We'll come on to Jesus in a bit.
Oh, no, he gets enough attention. Give me all the attention.
So I suppose it is. I mean, we kind of joke about going to school together and then kind of where we're at now. But you are a proper celebrity.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm probably Z-list. You know, I'm what I call double take famous. So when you sat on a train or when you walk down the street, people sort of do that kind of like, they look twice and they go, where do I know her from? And quite often it takes them a little while to figure it out. So I am what I call double take famous. People often think I was their primary school teacher or perhaps their midwife. Those are the two vibes. Really? I give a very strong primary school teacher and midwife vibes. That's all I'll say.
And do you get recognised out and about that?
Yeah.
How do you find that?
It's fine. It's always been a little bit like that because before I was on the telly and the radio, I was a community vicar. I was a parish priest, you know. So I could never shout at my kids in co-op. Do you know what I mean? I have always had to sort of be myself. My children have always had to put up with me having conversations with people and just having to stand and wait till mum finishes her chatting. So I've always been recognised. It's not a new thing for me. And before I was a vicar, I was a teacher, so I was recognised then. There's Miss. We all know the embarrassment of seeing your teacher in toilet paper aisle at supermarket, don't we? It's really weird. So I have always been recognisable. That's not a new thing. It's just it's a slightly bigger scale these days. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. Yeah. I don't know if you've worked it out yet, Michael, or anybody else, but I am an attention seeker and an egotistical maniac. Nothing suits me better than being looked at, which you learnt in a 18th birthday party in Dungworth Village Hall.
Exactly.
Just love a whole room looking at me.
I was tagging on. And so kind of... When did it all feel quite surreal then, or does it not? Does it feel normal?
Yeah, there are more.
Now?
There are real pinch. Of course, there are pinch me moments. I mean, I do a very strange job, and I do have to remind myself that I do a really weird job. So things like I was driving in today, and I was listening to Radio 2. I had Radio 2 on in the car. I apologise. I will never do that again. I was listening to Radio 2, and Dermot was on this morning, and so I texted him on the drive in and went, "Sounding great, Fred." And there were moments like that where you just think that's really weird that you could do that. And then I did CBeebies bedtime story recently, recorded a couple of those, and you just think this is just I watched that when my kids were little, a countdown dictionary corner sat next to Susie Dent's dictionary. You just think this is just silly, isn't it? But the trick is everybody feels like that. The people that are on telly are just providing you with a service. They're doing their job. When you watch Strictly, when you watch I'm a Celeb, when you watch all those things, you're watching people at work. This is their job. And I think we sometimes forget that, and they feel all those kind of imposter syndromes, insecurities that we all feel when we're doing our job, and you go, oh goodness, what am I doing here? Who's made me in charge of this? We all feel like that from time to time, don't we?
And do you think it's different for you because you have got a day job, or have you alongside it, or a different profession?
I don't see it as two separate things. So I don't see my vicaring and my telework as two separate things. They're sort of one and the same, really. And I definitely think that part of because I don't have a church of my own anymore. I'm like a supply vicar, and like a supply teacher. And
people kick off and
but people are off, or they're ill, or vicars are on holiday. They phone me up and they go, "Could you cover for me?" While I'm away?
Congregation misbehave in the same way?
No, actually, I'm one of those supply teachers where they behave better when the real ones are away. Sometimes they don't know it's going to be me, so I'll walk in to do a service and they go, "Oh, it's you off the telly," sort of thing, which is quite fun. But I don't see them as separate jobs. But all my kind of what you would expect is my traditional vicaring, like weddings, christenings, funeral services. All that's voluntary now, so that's all voluntary work. So your collection plate doesn't pay for me anymore. Your license fee does. That's how that works. So my job, my paid job, is telly, radio, after dinner speaking, writing books. That's my kind of bread and butter.
And do you think you'll always do that?
As long as the
phone in the church and everything.
Oh yeah. I'll always keep my hand in because one day that phone's going to stop ringing, Michael. They won't want me on telly box for much longer. So it's always, and actually it's my core vocation, and that's where being on the telly and the radio came from. So I was a vicar in a parish church, and it felt like, well, we're going to talk about how I got on the telly, aren't we? We're going to talk about it. So let's go there, shall we? I did a dance at a wedding that went viral on YouTube. So the bride and groom kissed. I pronounced them husband and wife. And then the music went, "Everybody dance now." And I started dancing and they started dancing. And they posted it on YouTube and it got 10 million hits.
And what year was this? Because this was a flash
mob,
isn't it?
Yeah,
Which
flash
was
mob.
a thing at the time.
It was already past a thing at the time, but the Church of England is always past it. We're never trendy. We're never modern. So I think it was 2014. You've probably done the research. I don't know. We could Google that quickly, probably. 2014. And it just started gaining momentum, really. In fact, it might have been a bit earlier. Was it 2012? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It started gaining momentum. And then Gogglebox producers saw that video, saw that clip, and phoned up and asked me and Graham if we'd like to be on the telly. And then it just kind of snowballed. But I'd always been a show-off.
Right.
I don't know if you remember, but even before that happened, I did Radio 4 plays when I was a kid. I did some plays on ITV when I was at school, so give me a microphone and an audience and I'll give you 20 minutes of stand-up. It's one of my favourite things to do. I hate filling in forms. I love talking to people.
And did you do that flash mob thing, hoping it would
No,
go somewhere?
of course
Was
not.
it your idea or the couple's
Well,
idea?
to this day, I say it was their idea and they say it was mine.
But were you encouraging it?
But basically, I will like to say yes to people. Right. I think people have found the doors to the church metaphorically and literally locked for too long. You know, so they expect that they're going to have to behave themselves, and they expect that they're going to meet somebody who's male, pale, and stale, probably. So it's a very easy win to be able to just say yes to people. So when they said we want to do something fun, I said, I love fun. Let's do fun. And it was actually a very normal wedding service, apart from that those little 3 minutes.
And who was in on it? Who'd practiced it?
There were about 10 of us.
Oh, okay.
There were about 10 of us who practiced. But the thing was, Michael, I'll let you into secret. They'd had rehearsals and practiced. They'd just sent me a video of the dance on the phone. I had no idea what I was doing. So I was just like trying to join in with the thing. And then eventually the bride looked at me and went, go on, go for it. So I started running man down the aisle and showing off a bit. And I think that's what tipped it over the edge. But God bless Gary and Tracy, you know. It's mostly their fault.
And what did the Church of England say about it?
Well, like anything, you know, like the nation itself, it reflects what everybody thinks. So some people loved it, thought it was absolutely brilliant. Some people didn't love it. Okay. And some people said, well, I wouldn't want that at my wedding. Well, wasn't your wedding, was it? So let's not worry about it. You can't please all the people all the time, but it was a delight and a joy to be able to give that couple something that they really wanted on their wedding day, you know, and it filled me with joy to be able to do it. I did not do it thinking I was going to end up working for Radio 2. Yeah. That's not why I did it, but that's where we are. And there was a real moment where there was like a window of opportunity, and it was, am I going to step into this, or am I going to go, well, that was lovely. That was my 15 minutes and we're done. Yeah. Or are we going to see how much of an opportunity we can take on this one? And I just think that it's really important. I'm passionate about people living life to the fullest that they possibly can within, you know, the realms of their capability. We're not here for a long time. No. So, you know, let's squeeze every drop out of it.
And you have done.
Yeah, let's make it joyous. Are you going to play it, aren't you?
I am. Let's play it now. Let's play it now then. It's CNC Music Factory. It's actually called Make You Sweat.
Well, it's doing that in here. It's ever so hot. Codaline and Perfect World here on Sheffield Hospital Radio. You're listening to Kate Bottley and Michael Harper. How lovely is that? It's like co-presenting. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I'll tell you. I said, can I pick up? And he went, yeah, of course you can. So it's like, this is great. I'm having a great time.
So you're flattering me because you said, can I pick up? And I did what does that mean?
No, I've always got your back. I've always got your back.
What have I dropped? Well, I'll need to write you down the email and the numbers. You can do that next time.
We can do that. I'd love to do that. Anyway, that was the theme tune from Gogglebox, of course, Cordeline, and that's where me and Graham started out. So off the back of that flash mob that I was talking about, Gogglebox phoned and we started on the show. And
how long were you on Gogglebox for?
I think it was about 2.5 years.
Right.
We did it, and it was great fun. We had a lovely time. Really got to know the crew. Really enjoyed that aspect of it. But you know, having a camera crew in your house 2 nights a week is quite a big
crew.
Yeah, there's a crew. There's little cameras on top of your telly,
right?
But then there's a whole bunch of other people in another room operating the desks and making sure the cameras zoom in and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's not just you on your own.
And so you just have to sit. They give you some TV to watch.
They control the TV from another room. So you sit down, you've got no idea what's coming on your screen, and they control the telly from another room.
And so do you watch the whole programme?
You watch cut downs, so you watch little edits, but you might watch that clip 3 or 4 times. So you'd watch a clip of, I don't know, something like X Factor, as was, showing my age there. X Factor, you watch like a 3-minute clip, but you'd watch that 3 or 4 times to try and see if you've got anything new to say about it.
And how compelled did you feel to kind of try and be witty and funny? Or...
Well, you know, after a while you work out what makes the edit. Okay. So what they want quick, pithy, short, punchy sentences, unlike this one that I've just said. And the trouble is with Graham, my lovely husband, who's brilliant at lots of things, he ain't good at talking in short sentences, that lad. So he never made the edit. He was very rarely on speaking, but he got lots of facial expressions. Yeah. He pulls wonderful face. He's got really rubber face, a bit Rowan Atkinson-y. And so they did loads of lovely close-ups of his rubber face, pulling faces at things I'd said, but not much of him talking. And so whenever I used to bump into people in the street, they'd say, why do you never let your husband speak? And I'd be like, oh, come on. You know, it's like, of course I let my husband speak. Don't be ridiculous. It's just that he talks in very, very long sentences.
And so kind of would you watch the TV beforehand during the week thinking, oh, if that comes up, I'll definitely say this? Or
sometimes Gogglebox wouldn't let us watch some telly. So I remember, I'm massive Eurovision fan, and they go, can you not watch Eurovision on Saturday night because we want your fresh reactions? Because I'm not an actor, Michael. I'm no actor. Let's face facts. So they'd want the fresh reaction, and so it actually spoilt some telly because you were like, I really want to watch this, and you've asked me to. So we just watched it and didn't tell them. It's all right, don't worry, it's fine.
But that's a big commitment then. What,
huge.
2 nights a week?
2 nights a week, and they would arrive at about 1:00 in the afternoon. We would set up all the cameras, black out all the windows. We'd get home from work, sort of 4 or 5 o'clock, normal sort of time home from work, and then we'd get straight into filming, and we'd film all the way through until midnight.
Wow.
So, and of course I had 2 young kids at that point. They were really little, so they spent a lot of time in their bedroom. They spent a lot of time not being able to have friends round. Nobody's helping with their own homework, because mum and dad are filming. And so it did start to impact, I'll be completely honest, it did start to impact on family life. And also, other things were coming in, other telly, other radio, and Gogglebox don't want you to do anything else because you're the public watching the telly. If you suddenly start being on the telly, it sort of spoils the whole thing, right? So we did it for 2.5 years, really happy with what we did, really enjoyed it. And I always say it's good to know when to leave the party. Always leave the party while the party's still going.
And was there a trigger? Was there something that made you and Graham think, actually?
Yeah. The BBC got in touch and offered me a documentary for Radio 1. BBC One, sorry, forgive me. For BBC One about Judas. And it was an opportunity to go to Jerusalem and to film this documentary for BBC One. The stuff for dreams, really. And I was like, I really want to do that, and I wasn't going to be able to do that while I was on Gogglebox. Right. So we came to an understanding, came into land, and also Ruby had got a GCSEs at that point. We just couldn't be doing with people coming through the house that much.
That's so it sounds
it is
a fantastic opportunity.
But that's what reality TV is. Reality TV is if you go into it, you have to go in with your eyes open that this is going to impact your existence. This is going to change some things in your life. It's going to make some things easier. It's going to make some things harder. But the nature of it is, they didn't pay us a fortune. In fact, we used to feed the crew 2 nights a week because we don't really eat takeaways very much. I'd eat takeaways, but the rest of the household doesn't. And so I cooked for the crew. So any money we did get got spent on electricity, internet, and stewing steak is what it got spent on.
So you're making me forget all my questions.
It's all right. We'll just chat. We'll just chat.
And you mentioned kind of there about being a reality TV star. And I kind of thought it that way. Did you feel like did you?
Absolutely.
And what's that like then, having that label?
Well, there's no takeoff to it. So when other people become, shall we use the F word, when other people become famous, they have a run-up at it. So they'll do a play, or they'll do a bit on telly, or they'll do a bit on radio. And slowly but surely, an overnight success takes 20 years. Do you know what I mean? Whereas reality TV, you hit the ground running. You're not on telly, and then all of a sudden you're on Channel 4 in the Friends slot at 9 o'clock. There's 4 million people watching you. And I remember the day after we first were on telly. So we went out, the programme went out on the Friday night on Channel 4, and the next morning we took the kids to the park, and I just remember being recognised for the first time, and this woman just turned and went, "You were on the telly last night." And of course, if you were proper famous, not reality TV famous, but if you were proper famous, you'd have people around you. Yeah. You'd have security, or you'd have an agent, or you'd have had time to get used to the idea, because it had gone really slowly. But when it's an overnight thing like that, it's psychologically, it's quite like, ooh, blooming heck, But of course, I got my vicar background and my teacher background, so I went, actually, I kind of know what this feels like. This is just a bigger version of that. But, it can be a bit weird for the kids. The kids are really good at taking pictures on other people's phones. Because when people come up and go, "Can I have a picture?" my kids go, "Would you like me to take it?" And the kids just take the pictures.
And were they fine with it? Did it bother
them?
I
mean, I've been their mother since they were born. So, in fact, before they were born. So they're sort of used to me being a gobby and an attention seeker, and it's just mum being mum. I think it'd have been a shock if I'd been a shy person. But, I've been their mum for a very long time, so this is just a very natural, normal chapter in mum's life. And when I take them to things, so I took Arthur down to see Blur in concert a little while ago, and we were sat next to Josh Widdicombe and Ramesh Ranganathan, and I just went, "Oh, Arthur, this is my friend Josh, this is my friend Ramesh," and they're just mum's work colleagues. They're just
and
mum's
are they
work
just
colleagues.
like your mates then outside of...
Well, you know, we don't. I won't go on holiday with them.
But you kind of
text them.
friendship.
Same with your friends at work. You have, and like any other job, you have your friends who are really your friends at work, and then you have other people that you have their number and you know them, and you see them at the works Christmas. You know, we have a works Christmas do at Radio 2, and so you see them at things like that. You know, so.
But that's normal for your kids.
Work.
That must be great to be around.
It's just mum's work colleagues, you know. Oh, this is my friend Claudia. Oh, this is my friend, you know. And everybody else is going, My kids just kind of go, oh, yeah, it's nice to meet you. So it's a bit, it is weird. I acknowledge it's weird, all right? But I'm glad to be there. And, of course, because of my role as a vicar, I kind of see it as a chaplaincy thing as well.
Really?
You know, that I'm available if they've got someone to talk. If they want someone to talk to confidentially, and they want someone to support them, I will always make myself available to that. And I think sometimes we presume that if somebody's rich and famous, they don't need somebody to look after them.
And do you think the celebrities treat you differently because of that background?
I think sometimes there is an air of that, and I've had that before. I won't say which colleagues, but I have had colleagues contact me and say, can I have a chat? And I've had colleagues who've been planning family funerals, for example, and they go, oh, I know I'll phone. And they'll phone me and ask and stuff, and that's
ask you to do it. Or
no,
to
ask me just a bit of advice, or you know, ask me, or said that they're nervous about something, or they don't know how it's going to look or what it's going to do, and so I'll offer my expertise, and then always follow up with a text. You know, I've got a lot of anniversaries, so if friends at work, shall we call them, fellow Radio 2 presenters mostly, I've always got their anniversaries of their mum's deaths in my phone, so I will make sure I text them on the anniversary of their family's death and just go, I'm thinking of you. You know, we're more than work colleagues. You know, so I can't separate. When you asked about the vicaring and I can't separate it out.
It's just you,
it's just that what we do is scoop people up and look after them as much as we possibly can.
Well, I want to come on and talk about that in the second hour, because we're nearly, said it'd go quick.
Rattling through
I'm going to do a song that David's texted in.
Hi, David. So lovely to hear from you, David Griffin, from the STH Tactical On-Call team. Massive fans of the fabulous Kate. Thank you so much. And you, Michael, they love you as well. Isn't that delightful?
Well, David's a member, so he's Tactical On-Call today, so if there's any problems in the trust, he'll be called first.
David Griffin Mead is our boss today. He's we salute you, sir. I hope you got your captain's hat on.
We don't want to distract him or anything, but he has asked for a song, so do you want to introduce this song?
So, David Griffin Mead, this is for you. This is Better Together by Jack Johnson.
Well, I can't believe it. The first hour's pretty much
flown by, right?
It's really, really gone fast. So coming up in the next hour, I've got all these questions. I haven't even turned to any of my questions yet, Kate.
You knew you wouldn't. Come on.
We'll do those after. But do you want to? We've got one last request for this first hour. Do you want to do as that, Kate? Do it in your best radio.
Oh no!
style.
Don't put any pressure on me. Oh heavens to Betsy. Well, lovely Mark and Tom are the physios here at the Royal Hallam Sheffield Teaching Hospitals, and we're so grateful for all the work you do. Thank you so much for your request here on the show. They've requested Father and Son by Cat Stevens, so it's our delight and our joy for Michael and I, the Reverend Canon Kate Bottley, to play that for you now.
Brilliant. I've got 10 seconds to fill.
I thought it's 56 on the nose, but there we go.
See, I'm not telling you the right thing. Sorry, Kate. No, you're right. But yeah, do join us after the news. And remember, if you want to pick a song, 07900 339 429. This is for Mark and Tom. You like Taylor Swift then, Kate?
Just a little bit. One of my favourite songs, the opening track of her Eras tour. We got to go to the Eras tour, me and my little girl. She's not a little girl, she's 24. But it was just incredible.
Are you doing so my wife and daughter went to the Eras tour, and at the minute it's 2 years ago.
I know.
Do you remember it?
I know. We still do it. Honestly, it's what we call in our house deathbed stuff. So I know when I'm coming to the end of my life, hopefully in a very, very long time, but something that's going to happen to us all, Ruby will be holding my hand while I'm unconscious and full of morphine and going, do you remember when we went to the Eras tour, Mum? So it's making memories, isn't it?
You know,
and I do think it's really important, you know.
Well, you'll be pleased to know I do play Taylor Swift every week.
Excellent.
It's the only artist I play every week, mainly because Emily loves it. But this does, being on the radio here does give me that opportunity to play songs that kind of I can blame, someone's requested it. Yeah.
And Taylor brings a community with her, which is wonderful. You know, it's so heartening to be at that concert. Little girls swapping wristbands and bracelets and everybody just having the best time.
Well, I sat through and enjoyed the documentary because Emily
loved it. Don't give me that, Michael.
Something in my eye.
Of course.
I did absolutely love it.
I know.
Me and Karen Carolyn were crying away to it kind of thing. It's brilliant, isn't it? It is.
It's joyous,
She is
impressive.
And wait, no doubt about it.
It's okay. You don't. Not everybody has to like Taylor Swift. You're wrong if you don't. But find your joy.
Yeah,
find your joy.
And so, go back, because I am obsessed by celebrity, I think.
That's really funny.
And kind of watching the Taylor Swift documentary is quite interesting. That I cannot contemplate how she lives her life. Do you know? She
exhaustingly.
Is so famous,
Yeah.
Kind of
can't go anywhere.
Go out and just so. How's that for you then?
Oh well, it's not Taylor Swift level. Let's put it that way. No, it's absolutely fine. It does come at a price. You do get online abuse and you do get face-to-face abuse as well. Sometimes people say, "Oh, they won't say it to your face." Believe me, they say it to your face too. Okay. Not everybody likes you, so isn't that true in life anyway? It's just multiplied when you're in the public eye. So there will be people. I don't know if you know, Michael. There will be people that don't even like you. It's just that you don't hear about it. Well, it's just that I hear about it. You see, it's okay. You don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. I make sure that I go and see somebody. I have somebody that I talk to every 6 weeks, some therapist that I go and chat to. I'm very fortunate to be able to have that, and that really helps. So talking to people, and that doesn't matter whether your problems are on a what you might think a big scale or a little scale. I think communication and talking to people who love you and trust you and will help you to get your head around stuff is really important.
And as you kind of talk about that, and you kind of were saying earlier about going out with kind of other celebrity pals and things like that. Is it quite a community then? Because I imagine it as it's quite false and everybody's kind of all about themselves. Yeah. Is it quite...
I'm going to tell you, the people that you think are lovely, that you see on telly, they're lovely. Right. And the people that you think are idiots on telly, they're idiots. Really? That's all I'll say, right? So you're pretty good judges of character. You know the people that you watch on your telly box and you listen to on your radio that you think, actually, they seem okay. Most of them are okay. And some, there are divas, there are egos in the room, of course there are, but mostly that's because they're scared and insecure. And I always try and see the person first before I see the celebrity bit of them, because often it's just because they're scared, or they feel a little bit nervous, or they're anxious, or all those other things that human beings feel. But always see people as human beings first. I mean, I guess it's a bit like consultants in hospitals. There are big E surgeons, there are big egos out there, I guess. But we have to remember that at the end of the day, these people are just going home like the rest of us to sit on their sofa and watch the telly. And you kind of talked earlier about imposter syndrome. Is there a lot of that around? Because I think the surgeons bit in Nige is interesting. I remember, STH has some fantastic medical staff, and when you start to talk to them about, gosh, they are, it literally is life and death. I mean, I'm just on the radio. It's I've not got anyone's life in my hands when I'm talking on the radio or presenting songs of praise.
But you can see where that pressure and expectation has an impact on individuals. Is it?
And the only time I really feel it is when I'm not feeling it myself. So I can tell you a story from the Hallamshire. In fact, I've been to visit my dad. My dad's really, really poorly. He's got ongoing stuff, my dad, but he was really poorly, and I'd been to see him, and it had really hit me hard. And I was in those dreaded lifts in Hallamshire, coming down in the lift, and I was crying. I was obviously upset. Now, when you see someone crying in a hospital, you know that something bad is happening, something tricky is happening. I was obviously really struggling, and someone came up to me and went, "Can I have a selfie?" And in that moment, it was the last thing I wanted. When my mum was taken into intensive care, into A&E just before she died, someone asked for a selfie in A&E. And that was really tricky. And I can't turn around. Well, I can't turn around and go, "Leave me alone," which is actually what I wanted to say. In fact, I wanted to say stronger words than those that you can't say on the radio. And I wanted to tell them to go away, and I can't do that because this is their one encounter with that woman off the telly. So I had to smile and go, "Of course you can." Gosh. And actually, I didn't want to. And people do that thing. It happened. I was out last Friday for drinks with friends. Someone came over and went, "I hate to interrupt, and I can see you're having a lovely evening. I hate to interrupt." Well, then don't interrupt. Yeah. Because you can see that I'm having a lovely evening. Wait for a more appropriate moment. But similarly, I'd much rather people did that than take pictures in secret. Sometimes you'll be eating your tea, and then half an hour later there's a photograph of you on Instagram with a fork full of chips in your mouth. And you think, why didn't they just come over and have a chat? That's really weird. Taking pictures of strangers in public that you don't know is weird. Whether that stranger is off the telly or not, it is weird. Go and ask.
So what's the appropriate approach? Because my kids laugh at me about...
What's the appropriate appropriate approach. I love this.
So thankfully, probably safely, I've never really met anyone famous. Couple of royals through work. When we were we went to Malibu on holiday.
Oh wow!
And
check you out. Malibu Ken. I enjoy that.
If only I thought I was going to bump into someone famous at every street end. No,
wasn't
one.
like that.
The best we saw on the very last day, we were driving down the road, and no word of a lie, Simon Cowell was on his bike. So I gave him a toot, and that was it. And then there's a myth and legend now in our house where we saw Aisling B.
Oh yeah, she's lovely.
Chinese. Now my kids say it definitely wasn't her. Me and my wife say it was. We don't know because none of
Ashling's
us
lovely.
Approached her. But what's the best way to be?
Well, I think if someone's eating the tea, let them eat the tea. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But if you happen to brush past them and they're walking to the loo and you're walking out the loo, I think it's perfectly okay to go, "Oh, are you?" The weird one is when people go, "Do you know?" They always say, "Are you who I think you are?" And I go, "I don't know. Who do you think I am?"
And has anyone ever thought you were somebody
else?
All
the time.
So who do you most get confused
I don't get confused for somebody else, but quite often people will say, "Oh, do you know, you look ever so like that vicar off the telly." And there's always a moment in that moment where you think, do I say anything? Or do I go, "Do you know, I get that a lot?" And just occasionally I go, "Do you know, I get that a lot?" And I go, "I know, it's uncanny." They go, "You even sound like her." And I go, "I know, it's mad, isn't it?" And
you've even got the dog.
Exactly. And then they'll go, "It is you, isn't it?" And I go, "Yeah, it is me," like that. So that's what happens to me a lot.
And what about when you meet famous people? Because you must be in and around it. Is that
the worst thing about me meeting famous people is because I'm sort of famous myself. Yeah. You can't ask for a selfie because it changes the dynamic.
I always wonder that.
You just can't.
Would you get an autograph?
No, you can't do it because you're meeting them as I would never say I'm meeting Kylie Minogue as an equal. I would never say that, but you're sort of you're at a drinks party or you're at a Christmas do, and the minute you go, "Oh, can I have a selfie?" you change from being a work colleague to being a fan, and that feels a bit weird.
Yeah.
So if other people take the picture, you kind of decide to look to them and go, "Can I have a copy? Can you just send me that? Can I please have that for my social?"
So make me jealous then. List me the big select. Who are the people you've loved?
Well, that's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah. Who have you really kind of?
I mean, people that you'll have heard of and people that you haven't. So I really enjoyed meeting someone called Charlie Duke, who was the 9th man on the moon.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not a space girl at all, not my kind of bag, but he really impressed me talking about being on the moon and what that felt like, and it was totally unexpected. Michael Bublé was amazing. I'm not a Michael Bublé fan. It's not my cup of tea, his music, but honestly there was something about him. I don't know whether it's about men called Michael, perhaps it is, but if he'd asked me to go to a hotel room that afternoon, I'd have thrown it all away for him, absolutely, without doubt. I went home and told our Graham said I was going to throw it all away for you this afternoon with Michael Bublé. He went, "Good luck to him, save me a job." So yeah, he was really impressive, the charisma in the room, and like I say, I'm not a massive fan, but the charisma in the room was incredible. Blur, Kaiser Chiefs, all those kind of people. I guess the biggest one is Kylie, really. She was lovely. Kylie Minogue's story is, I've met her 3 times.
Oh,
the second time I met her, she remembered my name, but I don't know if she did, but it felt like she did. Yeah. And then the third time I met her, we were in the loo at Radio 2, and I walked in, there's 2 cubicles. Yeah. I walked in, and Kylie Minogue was at the sink doing a lipstick, and I was like, "Oh man, this is just too much for me. I can't process this. My brain won't let me process this." Then I went in for a wee. She still stood at the sink doing lipstick. Now, I don't know what happens in men's toilets, but in women's toilets, there's always a thing of, are you chatting or aren't you chatting? Yeah. So I'm having a wee while Kylie Minogue is doing a lippy. She starts chatting to me. And I'm like, this is just too much. She's going, "So how are you?" I'm going, "Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, work good. How's the tour going?" She goes, yeah, we're having a really great time. And I can't process this. So that happened. And I came out and just went, wash
Give it 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Very good. Well done. I washed my hands double because you want Kylie to think that you're clean, don't you?
Yeah. Right. I don't know what to say now. I really don't. Should we play a bit of? Can I play Bros? When will I be famous?
Gosh, that takes us back, doesn't it?
It does.
That takes us back. You play Bros.
When will I be famous?
When Will I Be Famous by Bros. I'm so sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I just can't help it. It's like a muscle memory.
I'm more than happy with it.
We must say hello as well to Karen and James, who are listening in Hillsborough. It's so lovely to hear from you. Thank you so much for getting in touch. Apparently you missed me on Gogglebox. I was very funny. Not funny anymore, though.
You're still very funny. I've never
10 years ago since we were on it. 10 years since we were on Gogglebox. It's flown by. So yeah, thanks for getting in touch, Karen and James. If you want to get in touch with the show today, you can by...
You can email us, studio@sheffieldhospitalradio.co.uk. I still don't know the number.
No, I don't worry.
Or WhatsApp 07900 339 429.
Yeah, I always give out the wrong numbers. The other week on BBC Radio 2, I gave out my own email. Oh. Ridiculous.
At least you think of your home phone number.
Just ridiculous. What am I
I've
doing?
got visions of Graham at home taking a load of requests.
No, Elaine Page in.
So we've talked about celebrity, Kate.
Yes.
Can I ask you about, because you talk a lot about faith as well, obviously.
Of course.
As you say.
It's kind of the thing, really.
So kind of... You've talked, though, because I was reading your book. I've done all my research.
Thanks, darling.
Yeah, do you want to do a plug for your book? See if I was Radio 2.
My book, I'm not allowed to do plugs on Radio 2 from a book. No, you're not allowed to plug your own thing. So just to let you know, if you'd like to hear more stories from the Reverend Canon Kate Bottley, you can buy her book, Have a Little Faith, or available in all bookshops. Try and buy her independent if you can. But it also sold, I think Jeff Bezos has got it as well.
And you're talking there about faith, your faith being messy rather than straightforward.
Yeah, of course it is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I don't believe anybody who believes it every day. These people say, I've never doubted anything. Oh, well, then you've never really believed. It's a messy, chaotic faith. Some days it's really solid and some days it's really wobbly. I have the strange privilege of burying people for a living. So you have to kind of ask some questions along the way. And I think it's really important that we remember that it's called faith. It's not called sure. That's why it's called faith, is because the nature of it is very fluffy around the edges. It's transient. It changes. It grows. It weakens. And sometimes I think people think that you have to sign up to the whole manifesto in order to believe it. So what people often say to me, Michael, is they'll go, I'm not really religious, but... And then they'll tell me something that's quite religious. So they'll go, I'm not really religious, but I do like lighting a candle in a church when I go on holiday. Yeah, well, that's a bit religious, to be honest with you. And also, being a bit religious is not the worst thing you could be. Yeah. It's all right. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Let yourself do it. If it helps you, there's no harm coming from this. Or I would hope no harm, although, lots of things in the name of religion have been harmful. But you can take the bits that are helpful for you. So, I christen babies and the family come to me and they go, we don't really go to church. And I go, okay, well, perhaps this is the start of it. Or perhaps this is a journey that you're on. Or perhaps we can have a conversation. So it's not my place, as a professionally religious person, I don't think it's my place to say who's in and who's out and who qualifies and who doesn't, because to be honest with you, if I'm getting in, we're all getting in, because I'm a rotter. So it's that thing of I see my job as a priest of permission giving, of going, is this helpful? Brilliant, have it. The number of people I bury who we weren't really religious, but we want a vicar to do funeral. Fine, lovely. Don't feel bad about that. It's okay. And I know the work of the chaplains in our hospitals. They do amazing stuff, but people think they've got to be religious to see a chaplain. You haven't. If you just want someone to chat to who's neutral, and honestly, chaplains do brilliant work. They're not going to sit and judge you. They're not going to tell you off. They're just going to listen. And they may say, would you like me to pray for you? They're not necessarily going to do it there and then. They might go down to chapel. If you want to go to chapel, we've got brilliant chapels in our hospitals here in Sheffield. Go and have a look if you're able to get there, or send your loved one. The number of times you walk into those chapels and there's the I'm not religious but sat there. Because, there were no atheists on Titanic, were there?
And do you see people we were at the Titanic Museum only.
It's weird, isn't it? Isn't it weird that you can buy a rubber or a pencil case from a disaster where 1,500 people died? I think that's a bit odd, me.
Well, that was my view about we're celebrating it,
Bit weird.
Our family said different. We nearly got a Christmas bauble, but then...
Retford Charter Day used to have a bouncy castle Titanic, which I found... I was one of those moments where I was stood there, I was going, am I the only person seeing this? Where the children were sliding down it. And I was like, this just, not right.
Like a Phoenix
just
Nights.
Exactly. Doesn't feel quite right, this one. Anyway, I digress.
And you talk there about, obviously, with kind of funerals and end of life.
Yeah.
Do you find lots of people do turn to faith
well,
more, dial up the faith
I won't
more,
say it's necessarily lots, but we're hopeful, aren't we? I think in those moments when we're losing hope, we hang on to whatever we can hang on to. And I've been there too, you know. I'm not actually from a religious family. My parents never took me to church or anything like that. I started going because my friend Katie asked me if I wanted to go. Like she was asking everybody at school, she said, do you want to go? Katie's that kind of person. She likes to include people. And that's how I started going. It did help that I fancied the vicar's son and ended up with a snog. I ended up marrying him, actually. So that did help. That did keep me going. But when you're losing hope, when things feel dark and feel dangerous and you're worried and you're scared, I think we reach out for things. You know, we like to think that there are things that I do believe, obviously I do believe that there is something. It's okay to reach out when you're scared. It's okay to reach out when you're not scared as well, I will say that. But people do, you know, and I will get, often people won't be public about it, but you'll get a text, you'll get a message. And because I've got a national profile, I'll get messages from strangers who say, I don't really believe any of this, but would you say a prayer for us? Yeah, of course I would. I'd be delighted to. But also, you can say a prayer for you as well. It's not an exclusive thing, all right? God listens to you as much as God listens to me. So, you know, it's okay. And if there's nothing, and I would say this, right? If I die and there's nothing after death, well, I won't know about it, will I? Exactly. And if I'm right, then brilliant. Yeah. So it's win-win. Win-win. I've edged my bets.
And tell us about, because with the NHS, we often talk about being there at the points in people's lives that are most happy and most sad.
Same.
Birth.
Same.
Exactly. So kind of your career must be very similar. How do you find that being there at those points in people's lives?
Like our hospital staff do. It's an absolute privilege. It's an absolute privilege and an absolute honour that you are there for the best days and the worst days, and that you get to walk alongside people. And sometimes you'll never see them again. And sometimes they'll become regular features. You know, you'll see them again and again and again on your ward or again and again on your team. But, you know, it's a privilege to walk with people through those kind of real rubber hits the road moments. And also just for not everything that happens in an hospital is critical, is it? No. You know, sometimes it's routine stuff.
Yes,
you know, exactly. And we're there for those bits as well. You know, vicars are there for those bits as well, you know, for seeing Betty in the shop on a Tuesday and going, oh, yeah, how's your leg? You know, that sort of stuff. And what's really interesting that we're seeing in the churches at the moment is we're actually seeing a kind of very quiet growth amongst younger people, which we weren't expecting. So that's it's not just for old ladies, is my point. Just like hospitals, not just for old ladies.
That could be our strapline. And what do you think is behind that growth? Is that more people turning to faith?
I think the generations that are coming through have got less prejudice about religion.
Right.
They're used to seeing religion as a more diverse thing, so they're used to seeing multiple different faiths, lots of different faiths. And I also think they've not got the hang-ups of their parents that were made to go to church. So they just come to it. They come to it neutrally, and they go, "Oh, you know, what's this? Oh, it's St. Bridget's Day, and we're blessing fabrics. Oh, I'll have a bit of that. Oh, that sounds fun." And they see it more like a buffet rather than a set meal. Yeah. So they go, "I'll have a bit of that, and I'll have a bit of that. Oh, my mate's doing Ramadan, so I'll fast with them for a day." And you know, and we kind of and our strength is in our diversity, and I really like that. So they just don't have the same prejudices as perhaps past generations did.
Gosh. And tell me about, because kind of care and compassion are the other things you kind of said about that link or that overlap with NHS and faith and things. And our staff are fantastic with the care and compassion. Like you say, that they give out those saddest points or just...
And that extra mile stuff. I mean, I came in the other week with my dad and he was in emergency, he was in urology and he desperate for a cup of tea, and I could not find somewhere to get a cup of tea nearby without leaving him. And I went up to the desk and said, my dad needs a cup of tea and I can't leave him for... She went, and the person behind the desk just went, I'll get him a cup of tea. Right. I'll just get him one. They didn't have to do that. That is not their job to make tea for patients. And they just went and got my dad a cup of tea. And it's those kind of little tiny weeny gestures that I will remember that. I might get emotional. I will remember that forever. Yeah. Yeah. I will remember that forever. When my mum was dying, she had a gown on that said hospital property on. It wasn't that my mum was hospital property, it was the gown that she got on, and it really upset me. The next time I went in, she wasn't wearing a hospital property gown. Somebody had remembered that had upset me. And they didn't have to do that. And it's those little things that we do. That, I mean, the good news is sometimes you only need to do a little thing to get a big return.
Yeah. And where do you think that kindness comes from in folk? Kind of you're around that.
Yeah,
all
well,
day,
I think
every
obviously
day.
I think it comes from an inherent goodness that I believe that are in people. I would call it the light of God. Other people might call it something else, but I think as human beings, because we're made in the image of God, this is what I believe, that we reflect that light, and that there is an opportunity in all of us to choose good and to choose light and to choose to step into it. And similarly, there's an opportunity, there's a choice not to. And so it's always worth trying to reflect light back to people, even if you don't see what the return is on it, even if you never hear that the gesture of kindness made a difference to somebody. Doing good does good to the person that does it. So you do good, not necessarily to get a return. You do good because it makes you feel good, and it's what I believe it's what we're built for.
Fantastic. I'm going to play some Divine Comedy. If that's all right now.
Very good.
Is that okay? I was swapping out a bit of George Michael Faith, but let's do some Divine Comedy and National Express, which is all about the NHS. So I hope that's okay. Can I ask you, because I don't know whether I should ask you questions about what we've been talking of. You were telling me a story about when you met Scouting for Girls.
Oh, so I was out for dinner with Chris Evans. We were having dinner at his house, and we were all sat around the table. I sound like an idiot, don't I? Anyway, I was at my friend Chris's house having dinner, and there were some other people there, and I was sat next to a lovely young gentleman. So you chat, don't you, to the people you sat next to? And I got talking to him, and he said, so how do you know Chris? I said, I work for Radio 2, blah, blah, blah. And I said, how do you know Chris? He went, I'm in a band. And I was like, oh, that's lovely. And I was a bit old lady patronising. I went, and how are you doing? Because I know it's difficult, the music industry, isn't it? It's quite tricky. And he was like, we're doing okay. And I said, yes, so would I have heard of you? And he went, yes, I'm the bass player with Scouting for Girls. And it was at their height of She's So Lovely, that really big hit that they had. And I just felt I'm only 5 foot, but I felt even smaller.
Bless.
I know, right?
To go around someone's house like Chris Evans?
Yeah.
Just normal.
Well, it's not normal, is it? Let's face facts, that's not normal. But they are work colleagues, they are friends, they are, well, I chatted with Chris for a while now, but they are people that know you, and you do hang out, so, you will, it's difficult because we're not together very often, so, someone like Zoe's a really good friend of mine, we're really good friends, and, you go, well, let's get together. It's like all friendships, you go, we must go out for drinks, we must have lunch together sometime, and then you never do it. That's how it works, right? And we all do that, don't we, with people that
It took me 9 months to organise a meeting with my university friends.
You see what I'm saying? We all do it. So, it's no different. And that's my point. My point that, I always want to make with people is that if you see someone on the telly or the radio, they're a person first before. I mean, I know we think that if they've got, and we somehow delight, don't we, sometimes we delight if things fall on their face. So if we hear that someone's split up, or we sort of go, oh, have you heard they've split up? And actually, instead, let's think about the person first.
Yeah. So, moving from Chris Evans then, so let's talk about the radio. Is that okay? He is for me probably the ultimate kind of DJ. Who would be who'd you like the most as a DJ?
Sarah Cox. Sarah Cox is really good at her job. She's really good at her job and really in control and really at the top of the game. And I think it's great when women are getting those top positions. I really delight in that, although I'm really, there's some tricky stuff around Scott at the moment, of course. So I think Sarah's really good. I think Dermot's really good. I marvel at people like Tony Blackburn. When you see someone like Tony Blackburn, he was on earlier this morning on Sounds of the 60s, you can see him ready, because he's an elderly gentleman. He's an elderly gentleman. He's in his 80s. So he'll be sat backstage at something like Radio 2 in the park, and he's sort of quietly sat, and he has a person that looks after him because he, his mobility's not what it was and sort of stuff, to help him to get to places. So he'll be sat, and he'll be just this quiet, looking like someone's granddad. So he's sat there being all quiet, and then the minute they go, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Blackburn, and it's like a light goes on. He sort of perks up like a rabbit in a headlights, goes bing, and it's Tony, and then all of a sudden it's gone from, Tony Blackburn and looks like a man in his 80s to showbiz Tony who looks 22 on stage. I have no idea where that man gets his energy from, and if I have even an nth of his energy at his age, I will be utterly delighted. It's just, it's like Bob Harris, when you sit in a room with Bob Harris, he's not very well at the moment. He's got prostate cancer and he's having some more treatment at the moment. So, but when you sit in a room with him and he talks to you and he goes, "Hi, Kate," and you go, "It's Bob up, Harris. That's so cool. You're so cool. And it's me with a squeaky Yorkshire accent. You just can't help but marvel at the skills of these people who've been doing it for years.
Yeah, real craft, I am.
Real craft. And then there's me as a charlatan just being off the telly box and they put you in front of a microphone. These are people who've worked really hard. And, through things like hospital radio and local radio, worked and honed their skills. You've got to respect that.
And what do you think it is about radio? Because for me, that's why I'm passionate about hospital radio, about this is something for our patients and our staff to kind of listen to. Radio feels a bit more intimate than TV, would you agree?
Talk to anybody who does TV and radio and they will always tell you that they prefer radio. Because firstly, you don't have to get dressed up to do it. There's not an hour in makeup and hair. There's less people involved in radio. Telly, it's like the circus has come to town. When you do something like The Wheel, or I'm on Ross Kemp's Bridge of Lies tonight on BBC One, when you do something like that, it's like the circus has come to town. There's like hundreds and hundreds of people, no idea what they all do. But when you do radio, quite often you forget, you're just chatting. So it feels really intimate. And I ask anybody, they prefer radio.
And what do you think it is from a listener's perspective?
Because I'm in your kitchen,
yeah,
and you're doing other stuff. We do other stuff now when we watch the telly, but you sit down to watch the telly, whereas the radio, it's on in the car. It's in those moments when you're making a cup of tea in the kitchen. So you're doing your normal life, and where the radio, we get to be the soundtrack to your day. So my favourite show of the year that I do is Christmas morning. I get to do Radio 2 Christmas morning, 8 till 10, while people are opening their presents. The year I'm not asked to do that I will be really sad. I mean, happy for it to be somebody else's joy, but I love doing that show. I will always say yes to it. So Christmas morning, when I'm getting in a taxi at 4:30 a.m. to go to Manchester, and I'm telling myself, no, you love your job, and then you get there, you get to be there while people are doing their Christmas presents. That's amazing, right? It's amazing. Incredible.
And what do you think we take from that? And what would your advice be to me for kind of playing songs like we're doing and soundtracking?
You're doing a great job.
But soundtracking for our patients and our staff out and about their daily.
I mean, I have nothing to tell you. You're doing an amazing job, and you need no advice from me. But it's the same advice I would give myself, which is listener is key. Listener is God. Listener is the person that we serve, and you always take their feedback and always take their requests, and always you tailor your conversation and your music to what they want, because they're who you serving.
And with you saying serving there, so do you think there's overlap or similarities between ministry and broadcasting?
Yes, of course. This is ministry. There is no separation for me from any of it. We're serving people. We're helping people in whatever capacity. Do I think for 1 second anybody's going to turn on Radio 2 tomorrow morning and go, that's it, I'm going to start going to church, I believe in Jesus now? No. Do I think they might feel a little bit of warmth and a little bit loved? You've done your job. And that's the same whether someone arrives in your ward, on your department, in your ward. Our role, it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're retired, whether you're working, our role as human beings is to try and make somebody's day better. Just a little bit. Yeah. You don't have to do a massive thing. It's all incremental. So if you can just make someone's day better in a little tiny way, it's job well done, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. We talk about the kind of the byline at Sheffield Teaching Hospitals is about making a difference, and
that difference can be a time. Do you know the starfish story? I love the starfish story. So the starfish story is one of my favourite stories. So there's a little girl on a beach, and there are thousands and thousands of starfish that have been washed up on the beach, and they're slowly dying, and they're not doing very well at all. And she's walking along the beach, this little girl, and one by one she's picking up a starfish and throwing it back in the sea, and there are thousands of them. Well, a grown-up comes along to her and says, what are you doing? You're never going to rescue all these starfish. You can't possibly save them all. And she says, yeah, but I saved that one, didn't I? I made a difference for that one. Yeah. Made a difference for that one. And lots of little differences make a big difference, don't they?
Absolutely. So swap songs around again.
Oh, where are we going to this?
And should we do a bit of Dreams and Cranberries? I mean, this is just a fantastic song, isn't it? My daughter's asked for this, so this is for her. And then we'll come back. We're nearly at midday. Emily.
Hi, Emily.
We're nearly at midday. But we'll wrap up. But thanks, Kate. Speak to you shortly. Cranberries and Dreams there. Well, Kate, we've got only a few minutes left, so I'm going to play this next theme tune.
Okay, here we go. Okay? Yes, of course it is.
We'll get listeners to see if they can guess what this is.
This week on Songs of Praise, we're in Bristol, where I'm interviewing... Sorry, it just comes natural. Welcome to Songs of Praise. There we go. I mean, it's like a muscle memory, that really.
It must be, because for you, I mean, that must be the ultimate gig, is it not? I mean,
do you know, I fought against it really hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I wrote an article for the Radio Times when we were on Gogglebox. They said, what's your favourite TV programme? So I talked about all my favourite TV programmes, and they said, and what's your Room 101 TV show? And I said Songs of Praise. I said, you know, I just can't bear it, the way they're all smiley and they're all happy. Nothing bad happens in Songs of Praise land, does it? There's no doubt, there's no fear, you know, there's no where are you, God? There's no shaking fists, you know. Everyone's very shiny and happy, and it's Sunday night and you need to go and have your bath and make sure your homework's done and all that sort of stuff. So I put it in my Room 101. Wow. And I wrote an article for Radio Times about it, and Songs of Praise got in touch and said, well, if you think you can do a better job, let's have you. And that's what happened. So they invited me to start presenting for them back in 2016. I did my first presenting gig for them. So 10 years I've been working for them. And I was wrong.
Right. Because, I mean, in that Venn diagram of kind of broadcaster and vicar.
The sweet spot in the middle
is
Songs of Praise. Yeah, of course it is. And I was wrong about that show, because more people watch Songs of Praise than go to church. And most of the people, our sort of research shows that most of the people that watch it aren't particularly churchgoers. They just love that. And I can tell you a story of when I was wrong. I was at Glastonbury tour. It was the Glastonbury Festival, and I'd gone up to see the sunrise on the solstice. And I don't know if you've ever been to Glastonbury, but it is all comers, all right? So there was the pagans and the druids over here, and there were some Christians over there, and then there were the bikers, the Hells Angels over here, and there were some people doing some very interesting smelling cigarettes over there, all this sort of stuff. And we were all sat on the tour together, and I sat next to this gentleman, and he'd got leathers on and tattoos and piercings in his face and tattoos all over his face and stuff. And I sat down next to him. Didn't have my dog collar on, and we were sat just waiting for the sun to come up, and he turned to me and he was drinking Jack Daniels and smoking one of those funny sweet smelling things, and I was sat there and I thought, oh, here we go. And he looked at me and he went, I know you, don't I? And I thought he was going to say Gogglebox. And he said, I know you present Songs of Praise. He did not look like the average Songs of Praise viewer, Michael. And I said, if you'll forgive me, sir, you don't look like the average Songs of Praise viewer. And he said, no, my mum's in a nursing home and she's got advanced dementia and she doesn't even know my name. But when the Songs of Praise theme tune comes on, we put it on together and she sings along to the hymns that she remembers. And just for a moment, I have my mum back. Oh. And of course, I started weeping. Yeah. And he said, shall we sing? And we sang Morning Is Broken together, just the two of us. It wasn't it wasn't a tuneful rendition, but it was a very beautiful one. And it was one of those moments where you just think, actually, public service broadcasting is really good. Yeah. Nobody else is making Songs of Praise. And when the BBC is gone and it's all privatised or whatever happens to it, nobody's putting their money behind a show that's only watched by just over 1 million people. It's not getting made by anybody else.
That's amazing. Well, that's making a difference all over. Well, Kate, we've run out of time.
It is.
You've been absolutely amazing. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you for your patience for getting me here.
No,
I was running late this morning. I postponed one earlier this month.
You've been amazing.
You were a delight and a joy. And if ever you're off, I'll come and cover. Come and do cover for you.
Well, if ever Jason's off, I'll come and cover. Is that all right? That'd be lovely.
I'd love that.
Right, thank you, Kate. All the best for today. We can watch you tonight on
BBC One tonight. I think it's something like 6:20. I should probably know that information. It's probably been said to me. But Bridge of Lies, you can also watch anytime on the BBC iPlayer, and you can listen anytime on BBC Sounds to any of my shows. There you go, completely on message.
Thank you, Kate. Safe journey. I know you've got a busy afternoon and evening, and we'll listen to you on the radio tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
I'll speak to you all next week. It's Volunteers Week, so we'll have our volunteers on. See you next week.